Hey everybody, welcome. I'm Dave Lamont. This is your Almost Daily Dave. And yes, I'm going to finish off my college football favorite stadiums to broadcast or have broadcasted from. Have broadcasted? You know what I mean. So let's go right into it because Clemson has to be on the list. The setting there, the excitement of them going down that hill and touching Howard's Rock, which I've been privileged to get a chance to do that. The environment around there, the fact that the town and the surrounding towns are very much in love with that program, and particularly since it's now as hot a program in college football as there is, so much so that it's beginning to draw negative attention. That's when you know you've made it. And then there's a family environment about the whole thing too, because after the game, people run out on the field. You got fathers and sons playing catch with either the mini footballs or real footballs, and people just sort of walking around on what is to Clemson Tiger fans sacred ground. So it's a wonderful place. We had, back in the 3D days, we had an incredible shot of purple and orange balloons going up, released during the pregame celebration. And if you were one of the 5 people who actually watched those broadcasts, you know what I'm talking about. I have to mention Michigan. I have to. If it weren't for the other two, this would be number 1. I think I have been to the Big House as a fan and as a member of the media, and it is spectacular. And it has nothing to do with being a huge Michigan guy. I went to another university of M. But the environment, the fight song, which I think is the best in college sports, watching the players run out and touch the banner, it's thrilling. It is legitimately thrilling. 110,000 of your closest friends, as they like to say up there. Plus, you've got a tremendous college environment in Ann Arbor, great college town. So Michigan must be on this list. Now, number 2 and number 1 are probably interchangeable, but I'm going to save number 2 for last. The very best setting for college football is the Rose Bowl. And I will, what do they say? I'll die on that hill. I don't really want to die, by the way, but you know the expression. It's the Rose Bowl. And I've been there a couple times. In fact, my first University of Miami radio broadcast as a professional was at the Rose Bowl, a disastrous game where UCLA just beat the Hurricanes into the ground that game. Remember Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, the running back? And they had Jonathan Ogden, I think it was, as the tackle. And basically, I don't remember any other Bruins player who played in that game, and it didn't matter because all they did was just run behind Ogden, and Abdul-Jabbar ran for 490,000 yards that game. And Miami I remember that plane ride coming back was awful. But the setting there, you can't beat that. The stadium itself, and they've done some work to it, is very, very nice. But you're not beating that. You're not beating the mountains, the sun, the feel, knowing what's happened in that stadium, the history there in college football, all the Rose Bowl games. And now, even though UCLA playing there hasn't really helped lately. But, yeah, it has to be the Rose Bowl. It just has to be. That is, I think, the absolute standard for what a college football experience is. The one I'm saving for last, many of you may have already guessed, or you're sitting there going, you're going to say this, right? You're going to say this, right? Yeah, it's the Orange Bowl Stadium. Now, I have been there, never as a television broadcaster, because by the time my TV career got working, the Orange Bowl was not working anymore. But I've been there as a student broadcaster and as a Hurricanes broadcaster. And again, the press facilities were crap. Let's get that out of the way right away. But that doesn't matter. That's not what we're talking about here. If you were there when the place was full, and that wasn't often enough when you're watching a Hurricanes game, I was also there watching Miami Dolphins games and concerts and all the other things the Orange Bowl was used for. I don't know for pure watching football if there was a better place. The end zone, as if you're sitting in the press box, the end zone to the left, and if you've ever watched any footage of the Orange Bowl, you're talking about the end zone that had about this much room between the back line of the goal line and a net and a bunch of people who were willing to either hug you or hit you over the head, depending on what team you were playing for. It has to be the Orange Bowl, especially at night. There was a feel to that place that I've never felt anywhere else. Now, I'm a University of Miami graduate, so yes, I'm going to be a little bit prejudiced about this, a little bit. But if you go around and ask people who remember those glory days in the 80s and in the 90s, and even the late 70s when they really started under Howard Schnellenberger to get this thing going, I think the Orange Bowl is going to always finish at or near the top. So for me, I miss the place. I'm not sad it's torn down because it was horribly outdated. When part of your stadium is condemned after a hurricane, you've got a problem. All right? It had to go. Now, we can argue for the billionth hours on whatever's left on this earth about whether it should still be there, how the program hasn't been the same since, all this other stuff. That's for another day. But I just hope we all appreciate what we did have. And what the Hurricanes have now is a beautiful stadium. It's not that close to campus if you don't know the area very well. And an already small student population. Remember, it's a private school with a very small undergrad population that some of them actually go to school, not to go to football games. So your student involvement isn't what it used to be, or it could be compared to some of these other places. So that's why they need the public. That's why they need Miami-Dade County, they need Broward County, Palm Beach County to get behind. And at the moment, that only happens every once in a while. But I digress. So there you have it. My list took 3 days, but I got through it. Tomorrow on the Nooner with Dave Lamont, I have a great guest, the Associated Press reporter Tim Reynolds. Pretty good chance you've read Tim Reynolds over the last 10, 15 years. He has been in and out of that bubble covering the NBA and the Miami Heat. And with the Heat up 2-0, I'll talk to Tim about what the rest of the series looks like. And also, I want to find out what that bubble is like because he's been there and he's gone back. So I can't wait to talk to Tim. He's a good dude, too. Thank you for tuning in, the Almost Daily Dave, and I'll see you noon Eastern time tomorrow.